And there we go. And just we will put either this workshop or all of our workshops or some of our workshops on our website or on our YouTube channel so you can watch it at a later time. So that being said, let me share a PowerPoint, everybody's favorite thing. Great. Can everybody see that? Or can someone see it?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So welcome, folks. This is the FY26 General Operating Support Application Workshop. I am Carrie Kaliba, and I am one of our grant managers here. Glad to have you with me here on this Thursday morning. We do like to start our meetings with a land acknowledgement, our public events with a land acknowledgement to recognize the Nacotchtank and the Piscataway people, the first residents of the land that would become the District of Columbia. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection from across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We stand on the ancestral lands of the Nacotchtank and the Piscataway people. We pay respects to their elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, and migration and settlement that bring us here together today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events and to use such truths to guide the legacy of this Arts Commission. All right, so welcome. Just a thing on housekeeping. We do have a chat window. Feel free to leave questions in there throughout this presentation. As I said, I've got some spots here set up where we will have time for Q&A and things like that. And we'll be able to check in with each other on some questions. But if you do have a question that comes up and it's a burning question, feel free to leave it in the chat so that you can not forget it later. And I think there is someone making a bit of noise. If I could just ask you to mute for everyone. Okay, thank you. All right. So, and then for those who joined a little bit after, we are recording this session. We will have a copy of this up on our YouTube channel for you to be able to watch back later in case you enjoy listening to me as you fall asleep at night. Join my ASMR career. Okay, so our workshop agenda today. This is the welcome part. Welcome. We did it. One thing checked off. We're going to do a quick overview of what the GOS program is, highlight any changes for FY26, the coming fiscal year, talk a little bit about accessing the application, the narrative questions, the scoring criteria, work support and document uploads, and then we'll have some time for Q&A in there as well. All right, so this is our general operating support grant. This is, for many of you, there is some familiar pieces to it. In general, for our general operating support, we are expecting that you have received a grant from us before, that you have come through either the STARTs, the projects, events, or festivals, or one of our education grants or capital projects. As such, our requirements for eligibility, you must be incorporated as a nonprofit with a federally designated tax-exempt status as a 501c3 under the IRS. Be registered as a district organization. We want you to be a DC-based or arts and humanities organization and have your primary mission focus in one or more of the arts and humanities disciplines. We do have a guide to grants that outlines a bit more of what we're talking about when we say arts or humanities. And if you have any questions about your organization, you can always reach out to us. But we do want your work to be majority arts and services focused on arts and humanities or arts education. All right. Just to reiterate, we want you incorporated as a nonprofit, federally designated as such. For general operating support, you need to have received funding through a CAH competitive grant, either our current fiscal year, FY25, or last fiscal year, FY24. If you are interested in the GOS capacity building cohort, that's going to be a different thing, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But for most of our generalists, our general applicants, you will have already received a grant from us. At least 51 of your activities must occur within the District of Columbia. We know that the borders around here can be a little iffy at times, and so it's okay that we have programming outside of the district, but we do want the majority, 51%, happening within the district. And that 100% of your grant award dollars are used to support District of Columbia personnel and programming. A lot of this is going to be pretty standard, usual registrations and compliance with other organizations you need to do business here. We do want a certification of clean hands. I've got a section where we'll talk about what that means, and then be in good standing with us here at CAH. At a baseline level, what that means is have your reports in with us and be in compliance with anything. If there is an issue or you have any questions, please reach out to us. For many organizations, we are in the middle of interim reports. The interim report is not going to be a part of this. If you're going to, we still want it, but if you have to get an extension or anything, that's not going to be a problem in terms of setting up good standing. We're going to be talking about other reports for that. And also have a principal business office address in the District of Columbia that we could come visit. We do not allow post office boxes or addresses of board members or volunteers as evidence of the principal business address. All right. So some general things for the GOS granting. If you apply for GOS, you may be restricted from other project grants. So a couple of things: the scope of work articulated, laid out in your GOS request cannot be duplicated in a project-based request. The best example I have of this, or that I've been using for years, is if you have let's say your organization hosts field trips, and as part of your GOS application, you say that you are going to host 100 students from the district for an on-site field trip. Wonderful. You cannot then apply to our field trips grant and say, we would like to bring 100 students for an on-site field trip. That would be a duplication of work. It would be okay, though, if it was something like, we said we were going to do 100 students in GOS, and this field trip grant is an expansion into another 50. This is a separate thing. You would deal with that later when we open those education grants. But just in general, we cannot duplicate work from GOS in one of our other grants, like Arts and Humanities Education Projects, East Arts Field Trip Experiences, Public Arts Building Communities, or capital projects. You may receive other grants from us, you just can't duplicate work. The one big restriction is GOS recipients may not receive projects, events, or festival grants. This comes up a lot with our capacity building cohort, which would be for first timers, where we say maybe you should apply to both. You can only receive one. Great. Okay. So basic details here. The application is open now. It opened on March 11th. The application closes on April 22nd at 10 p.m. We will be available, staff will be available, I'll be available until 10 p.m. On that deadline. That is a Tuesday, just so everybody knows. It is a Tuesday evening, so if you are working up till the deadline, you can always reach out to me up until then. Incomplete or late applications may be deemed ineligible for review and funding. If you do run into any technical difficulties or anything, do reach out to us in advance of the deadline. We do suggest and ask that prospective applicants read through our RFA completely before submitting the application. And also check in on any reporting requirements. If you have any questions about your reporting status, please just reach out. We'll check in. It's not a problem for us. And all applications are reviewed and scored by a panel of arts and community professionals, and the award amount vary. All right. I talked a lot there. So for our paneling process and just in general for everyone's information, our applications are divided into 3 categories. We have the generalists, that is our largest category. We have our service organizations, and then we have capacity building. So generalists, that's going to be the vast majority of organizations. You are doing arts and humanities work, you are a generalist. Service organizations, it tends to be that you are providing a service for other organizations, kind of like a professional support organization. It's thinking about who your audience is. Is your audience the general public, or is your audience other arts organizations that you're serving? And if you have questions about those 2 categories, again, you can always reach out to us. Finally, we have our capacity building cohort. This is for small organizations that have not previously been awarded a CAH grant. So these are going to be small organizations. It is your first time applying for a grant with us. You would be in capacity building. Our panel categories are divided into cohorts. We base this on budget size, and the total cash, and those are going to be based on your total cash expenses for your most recently completed fiscal year, as we'll see on your 990s, and the total of the cash expenses that are focused on district arts and humanities activities. And then the funding ranges are determined for each cohort. Actual award amounts will vary, and the final award determination is based on where you fall in that panel ranking, because we do have panel review. So that being said, I don't know yet what the cohort lines are going to be, because we don't have your applications in. We do that after we receive the applications and we see where things are shaken out and where there are some good natural breaks. And then the actual award amounts do vary. We base them on your budgets and kind of meet you where you are in your needs. Okay. That was a lot of talking. Any questions so far? No? That's great. Okay, great.
Yes,
yeah.
question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, we have an organization where we publish a magazine as part of it. It's a total arts magazine. But being that we are online, we also publish in print, but mostly online. So what does that mean as far as determining what our audience is? It's worldwide, but it's based on we're total DC as far as our organization goes, where it is, etc. And include in the magazine, obviously, reviews and news about art in DC, but as well art around the world, because DC is an international center.
Yeah.
So,
Do you mean, when you say determine audience, do you mean that in terms of whether you would be a generalist or a service organization, or?
right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm gonna have to.
Sorry.
Hold on. Sorry, I got a different call there for a second. That's gonna be that sounds to me like a generalist, but also feel free to send me an email. I should put my
Thanks so much.
email here in the chat. I should do that now, and I'll do it again in a little bit.
Okay, great.
At gc.gov. That's my address. Yeah, it does sound like you would be a generalist based on what you just said there, but it also, if we've got some other questions here, we can do that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure thing. And then I saw a question here. If an organization passes the cutoff and is selected for funding, does the amount of funding depend on their budgetary needs or on their ranking, or a combination of the two? It's really going to be a combination of the two. We're going to look at a couple of things. There's a whole formula cycle that we go through. And then for new organizations that will be applying for capacity building funding, what will be accepted in lieu of the 990? This is a great question for anyone where you may not have a 990 ready or available. We will want to see some bank statements. And I will say this in other places as well. Please redact sensitive information. We don't necessarily need to see your account number, but we do need to see some of your financial history. And if you have concerns about any of that, feel free to reach out again. But we'll want to see the last year or so of your bank statements in lieu of the 990. Okay, great. Yes, all right. So I am sure this is a big question for everyone, is the multi-year funding option. Yay. So we advertised this and mentioned this last year for anyone who was applying for and was hoping to receive FY25 funding. We are currently in fiscal year 25. We are looking forward to fiscal year 26. Starting tomorrow, so March 28th, if you are an FY25 recipient and you wish to opt in to the FY26 GOS funding, there will be an application in the same grants portal where the full application is. It is going to remain open until April 22nd. It has the same deadline as the full GOS application. Give me one moment here. If you opt in, you do not need to submit the full application. Also, we will have more information about this. We have a separate town hall scheduled for April 1st. The registration is on the Eventbrite page right now and will be available for questions. So that is my general information about the multi-year funding option. If you did not receive a grant and are ineligible, or this seems strange and you don't know what I'm talking about, that's also fine. Don't worry about it. You're going to be on the regular path. But for anybody who is interested in the multi-year funding option, application is opening tomorrow. We'll have a town hall on April 1st. We're here to answer questions. That being said, for the multi-year funding, this is a 2-year grant, so it'd be FY25 current year, FY26 coming year. It'll be paid out in 4 payments. So first payment, we're in the middle of getting set up for second payments. Third payment starts in October. Fourth payment around this time next year. We will want those interim and final reports, just checking in. We are going to aspire to the same level of funding. This is contingent upon the funds we have available to us and other resources. Our budget has not yet been finalized, so I don't know and I cannot make promises. But we are aspiring to reach close to your same level of funding that you have received this year. So we are offering this in the hopes of offering some greater stability and longer term planning. To be eligible for this, you need to have received a GOS grant in 2 of the last 5 years. We'll have those years laid out so you can double check your records, and demonstrating a track record of compliance with grant requirements. If you have questions about your eligibility as an organization for the multi-year funding, again, you can reach out to us or please come to that workshop on April 1st. We'll also record that and make sure that's available. So if you do, this is an opt-in, it's not an automatic. We're not going to look at an organization and say, yes, you get it immediately. We're going to say, do you want to do this? Just let us know. Otherwise, we will want you to submit the full application. We're just trying to streamline things, provide some greater stability and planning. It is a first year for us, so we are in this with you. This is a learning process for all of us of trying this out. Any questions about that? Because I'm going to default them all to the April 1st town hall. Okay.
I just have a super quick question.
Sure.
This is, and I'm just trying to keep up with all the grant opportunities. This is for organizations only, nonprofit? Okay.
Yeah.
Nonprofit. Yep. Okay, got you.
Yep. Great. Thank you. All right. I see some of my team is helping to answer some of the questions, which is great. I appreciate you all. does the multi-year funding cap you at that funding level? We're going to try and maintain funding is really what we're going for. It's not that we're not trying to go too far off from that. But again, I don't have the final budget numbers, so I don't know what our funding situation looks like right now. Okay, great.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Thank you. Is this open to individuals?
No, this is just for organizations. Our individuals' general operating budget equivalent, the Artist Fellowship, will open later in the spring.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure thing.
Thank you. Bye.
Sure thing. Does the multi-year option mean that there will be two options for GOS, single year and multi-year? Yeah, sort of. So if you opt in to reapply this year, I'm going to go back one slide. It will be a single year of funding, and then if you are eligible, hopefully, we will offer this again next cycle. So it'll be a thing of, if you applied in FY26, we'll talk about it as a second year funding in FY27. I don't know all the details yet. As I mentioned, this is the first time we're doing this. It's a little bit of an experiment for us. We're hopeful that we'll be able to continue this 2-year funding option moving forward. And then we'll have folks reapply after the 2-year cycle, and we'll keep it going. Okay. All right, I'm gonna head into our application and scoring. For most folks, because general operating does tend to be a lot of repeats, it's very familiar, this part, the application and scoring. We have not changed any of the criteria this year. So this is what we've got coming up. So everything, let me pause.
Yeah, I'm about to use it back. Go ahead. My bad, baby.
I have a question here for, if you were declined for a multi-year award, can you apply for a single year grant for FY27, or would you be prohibited from applying? I don't think we're going to prohibit anyone from applying. If you are ineligible for the 2-year, we are going to let you know so that you do get an application in. And then we can, there's always the single year option, but we're going to do a lot of back checking on our end to make sure that everybody is able to apply and get the best that they deserve. We don't want to cut anybody out or anything like that. Okay. All right, so for application and scoring, as I was saying, we have not changed anything. It is still these categories. It was this last year. We have not changed this. So it is still district impact and engagement, equity, organizational management, arts and humanities, and arts education content. So the district impact and engagement, we're really looking to see that you're serving DC residents, that you've got a commitment to DC, and you've got some evaluation strategies about your organizational impact and growth. For equity, I know there's some concerns about some language in the current situation. We are committed to our equity and our inclusion, diversity, and access criteria and programming for this year. We are moving forward as we can. So we're going to look for, we want to see a plan for you for your measurable goals for your inclusive environments with intentional focus on racial inclusion. We want a plan for a diverse environment for your audience, your participants, your staff, and your board. And then also access. We're looking at that from a lot of levels: physical, geographic, cultural, racial, financial. For all of these, this is going to be based on your organization. As we all know, equity is not one size fits all. So we want to see how this looks for your organization. For organizational management, we want to see appropriate oversight, financial controls, and governance for your programming, and the expertise and personnel. You got the right people to do your job, and you've got the abilities to do it. That's it. And then finally, we've got the mission, your arts and humanities and education content. So your mission is being supported by your work samples and support materials. Your work samples are demonstrating your knowledge and skills in the content area. And you've got people with the skills and the expertise to plan and implement that programming. I did have a question that came through for scores available from applications for FY25. Yeah, reach out to your grant manager. If you don't know who that is, send a message to me and I will touch base with them and make sure we get that information out to you. I'm just going to drop my email in the chat again. Oh, any other questions? Ooh, I went too far. Okay, great. So just a quick review of how to do this whole thing and how to log into the portal and work through the application. So I'm going to go through the portal, the narrative questions, criteria, samples, and support materials, and document uploads. So just a reminder of how to get to our portal from our website, dcarts.dc.gov. Go to the Programs tab and scroll down to Grants. That's going to get you to our Grants landing page, which has a lot of information on it. It's a very full page. The current funding opportunities is updated right now, so you can see what our current applications are that are open. So that's general operating support, eStarts, projects, events, and festivals for individuals and for organizations, and the public art building communities. We also have some information about other upcoming grants. We've got several more coming up in the spring: arts education and the artist fellowship for us, as well as capital projects still in the works. You'll also find links to our assistance that's available, our live chats, our office hours, our workshops. We're always recruiting panelists, and if you're on our panelist list, you will hear from us soon. And then a long list of our general grants resources, including assistance, prior year RFAs, grantee directories, and the application portal. Underneath this link for the application portal, just so everybody knows, are some links to the pages with all of our required documents so that you can get a copy of any of those you may be worried about. All right, so you clicked on sign into the grants portal, you will land on our portal page. You're going to sign into your account, which is the much smaller blue sign in underneath the big green button that says sign up today. You're going to be welcomed. You're going to click on my open applications, and you're going to be able to start a new application. You're going to see all of the available opportunities. What would be great to do here before you even start the application is just double check your contacts. Make sure you've got the right people still attached to your applications. We know that there is staff turnover. You worked with someone last year, maybe they moved or something happened. Just a good time to check in, make sure your address is up to date, your contacts are up to date, anything like that. Just a good little housekeeping thing to do. But then when you are ready, you will start your new application. We've got a brief eligibility questionnaire. You say yes to everything, you're going to get right into that application. So a couple of things here. We're going to get the Word version of our application questions up on our website shortly. We're just doing some final editing on it, but there will be a downloadable version that you can use if you want to draft any of your answers offline. Or if you've got multiple people working on the application and then you'll need a document to work off of, we'll have that up for you soon. And that'll be a downloadable printable copy. We'll also have it on the website. Grant staff are available to review the application materials for up to 1 week prior to the deadline. So this is due on April 22nd. 1 week before that is April 15th. You just need to reach out to us by April 15th so you can get on our calendars and we can take a look. We're going to really check here for compliance and completion. We're not going to evaluate the quality of your writing or of your work samples. We don't want to do that. Just so everyone knows, I know this is going to come up at some point. You do want to get on our calendars by April 15th. April 16th, district government is closed. That is Emancipation Day, and we do observe that holiday. So you may not be able to reach us as easily on April 16th, but we will be right back into it April 17th. So we've got some time, but just something to keep in mind if you are looking to get a review of application materials. All right, any questions so far? I had one come through. Are you able to delete contacts that are no longer employed at the organization? Yes, yes, you are. And if you run into any problems with the portal or anything else, again, reach out to us so we can help and we can do a little bit of tech support. We're also probably going to want to check in about the payment system, the district integrated financial system, and make sure we have those contacts updated. That's a separate process, but we can help with that as well.
Carrie?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Nancy Nesbitt. You mentioned that you don't want to evaluate the quality of work samples. What does that mean? I mean, we would be submitting the magazine that we publish as a work sample. So what are you evaluating as far as work samples go?
I am not evaluating, the panelists are.
The panelists.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that. I am not going to say that this is the best thing I've ever seen or the worst thing I've ever seen or anything like that. I'm going to help ask questions and some guiding questions and offer some guidance or, have you considered this? But I'm not going to weigh in on things like that. That would be a conflict, and I don't want to influence your application either positively or negatively. So panelists do that. Yeah.
That's fine as long as they get evaluated.
They do, just not by me.
Yeah, no, and the other thing is, if anyone on our board, because it is, they are service panelists, do they therefore have to not judge our application at all? Or
yes, they would not. They would not be able to sit on that particular panel. We do split them into cohorts, or we might have them on another program entirely. Because the expertise that board members or staff or anyone who might be serving as a panelist might be better served in another program rather than in GOS. We do have projects, events, and festivals in East Arts that will be paneling around the same time. So there will be some interest there.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. And then Kamea, am I saying that correctly? You have a hand up?
Perfectly correctly. Hello, Carrie.
Good morning.
Is what you've been describing, does it apply to the capacity building grants, or are you going to talk about those separately?
I'll talk about those a little bit separately. Most of the capacity building grant is very similar to the GOS, and it will be evaluated in a similar way. So you follow a lot of the same rules. Really, the big difference in the application is going to be that you are put in a different category from the others.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Okay, so a couple of things here, some application writing tips, and we'll keep going through a few things about this. We do recommend keeping a copy of the scoring criteria nearby. Write to the criteria. Think about what we're asking. What we ask of you is what we are asking the panelists to evaluate on. We ask that we suggest avoiding buzzwords and hyperbole. Language changes all the time. If claims are made in the application, it's great if you can back them up with support materials. And we always ask and suggest if somebody outside of your organization can read the narrative and give you feedback. I think a lot of us sometimes, especially me, I'm very aware of my own limits. I'm a little too close to the work sometimes, and I'm a little too invested and involved in things, and I don't always see the problems because I can fill in blanks. But whenever I try to explain my work to somebody who does not come from this world, it's a little bit of, oh, I have to change the way I communicate. Great. But that's sometimes where you get the best feedback. You want to give a complete picture of your organization and its work. This is the general operating support, so we are kind of looking at the whole thing. And then use accurate data in the application when available and where it's appropriate. So there's two things that we have, two big parts of the application. There's the narrative questions and there's the uploads. The narratives are the short answers, questions about your programs. This is where we'll ask about your programs, kind of a budget picture, your IDEA programming, and some short statements. The uploads are all of the things that we're going to want you to upload. So this is going to be your financial documents, your compliance documents, your work samples and things. I've got a complete list here. We also have a complete list in our application in the RFA. So your balance sheet, your clean hands, insurance, budget, IRS forms that I wrote twice and actually need to edit this slide, board of directors, profit and loss, resumes, statement of certification, support materials, work samples, and DC funding for. I'm going to go over all of these real quick. But just in general, for documents, we do ask that you save and upload them as PDFs and in a PDF file format. It is the easiest for us to view and for you to share, and a little bit more secure than some things. We at the Commission are all working off of Windows-based operating systems. It is a little difficult for me to open a numbers or a pages file if you're working off of a Mac. And then I have to come ask you for a new one. So PDF is just easiest. It's also easiest for the panelists to view. So just as you are pulling these pieces together, the review panelists are required to review your work samples, but they are not guaranteed to review samples beyond a recommended number. We do have guidance of what is too many work samples. We do want you to clearly name, label, and describe work samples and documents so that our panelists can identify what they're reviewing. You want them to have the information they need to best understand your work and support materials. And then just if you're looking at project-based grants later in the year, samples of similar projects to illustrate the ability to execute a project is great. So it's great if you can be able to view and play all your work samples before submitting. If a sample cannot be played for something like a YouTube video or something, then your panelists will have the similar problems. Recent high quality samples that relate directly to the application are great. We want your photographs to be a minimum of a 72 DPI resolution, and they should not be larger than 8 megabytes. Adding more than a recommended number of work samples often weakens it, and it becomes too much to review. You want to look at your work samples for your biggest impact and strongest artistic impression. I know that editing is hard for all of us, but we do have some suggestions. A lot of this is also repeated in our guide to grants. So if you have some questions about that or you want to refer back to that, the guide to grants will have a lot of this. So part of the application, we are looking for a financial picture of your organization. They provide important context. So we're going to want to see kind of your past through the IRS Form 990. If you do not have this, or you have the easy filing one, the kind of postcard, we are going to want to see some bank statements. As I mentioned before, feel free to redact any sensitive information, but we are going to want to see some of your past financial picture. We want to see your present. That's going to be your current organizational budget. We want to see the one that's been approved by your board of directors. And then your future is in your projects and programs section, which is going to tell us about what's coming up in your life. We're also going to want to see a balance sheet from your most recently completed fiscal year. So that's your balance sheet, your budget. We'd also want your profit and loss statement from your most recently completed fiscal quarter. We do have a funding source form. We have an updated form in process. It will be on our website shortly. Mauricio is working on that right now. Mauricio has been in the chat answering questions, as has Lucy, and we'll have some more information about that shortly. I do have a bit of a guide coming up. And then we want to see your certificate of liability insurance. This is your general coverage, your general liability insurance. We do want it to be your current policy. And then we've got some additional information like a waiver of subrogation and holding DC as a certificate holder. And I have details coming up about that. So this is the DC funding source form. This is the old version that I have here as screenshots. We do have a new one coming. But here we just want to get a sense of a picture of where you are receiving funding from the district government. This can include us and other government agencies. So this is going to be just a little bit of information. We want to know when your fiscal year is, what are your cash expenses, did you receive funding from us, did you receive funding from another agency like DCPS, the public schools, from the libraries, from Parks and Rec, any of the other government agencies. As I said, we will have a guide on how to fill this out. One thing about this form, about the coming form and the current form, and any form that you get from us that is on Excel sheet, if you cannot adjust the numbers in a cell, that's on purpose. We have put formulas in them so that they will do the math for you. And so you don't have to do it. So if you cannot type in a cell, that is probably because we have locked it for math reasons. If you have any concerns about that, do please reach out to us so we can help. And then we do want it to be filled out and we want it to be signed. Certificate of liability insurance, this is your general coverage form. Just so everybody is clear, we're not asking for the full policy. We are asking for just a cover sheet, really. I don't need to see a full 128-page policy. I really just need this accord form, which is a very basic, which is something your insurer should be able to provide for you. We do have some language that we want to have on the form, including naming us as additional insurers and including a written waiver of subrogation. I look at those elocution lessons. And we do have a certificate holder box. We can provide you with this language if this is something that you need. You know, don't feel like you have to frantically type this down or anything. We're happy to email it to you and you can send it directly to your insurer. So then we also would like a list of your current board of directors. We'd like to know their roles. We'd like to know their responsibilities very briefly. We'd also like to know where they are, home addresses, their wards, the information as far as you feel comfortable providing. If you don't want to give us their actual house number, that's okay. We just need to know a general neighborhood. Resumes of their key personnel. This is going to be maybe your artistic directors, your executive directors, your staff who runs programming, what they do, where do they live, where are they. The panelists need to be able to assess the skill level of the artists and administrators that are doing the work that your organization does. We also want to have the IRS letter of determination. Your most recently submitted Form 990. We'd like it to be the one that is completed, so having the organization representative and tax preparer. And then the Form W-9. This is your IRS form. Post office boxes are prohibited. We do need a physical address. We do want your address to match the system in our grants portal, which you've double checked because you started your application and updated all your information. And our payment system, the DIF system. If they aren't matching in the DIF system, let us know so we can help walk you through that update. We need the March 2024 version of the form. I know there are still some December 2020 versions lurking because I get them every year and then I have to update them. So just update that form for yourself. And we want it dated at the time of application submission, and that's going to be an ink or e-verified signature. So the IRS W-9, just so everybody knows, this is the 2024 version. The address should match on all documents and grant materials. You want to make sure you've got your correct box selected for what type of organization you are. Address should be in DC, should match in the portal, diffs, any application documents. The tax information is your organization's EIN, and signed. And save it as a PDF. Thank you. We do have a fillable copy at the DC on our website. You can also just type W-9 into Google and it will bring you the right one. That's just good to have on hand. Other things we are going to require is a certificate of clean hands. We would like a recent one and a statement of certification. The statement of certification is a compliance document required by DC government. We have a fillable PDF form available on our website. Again, signed at time of application or time-ish of application. Ink signature, correct name of grant program. So for the certificate of clean hands, I'm going to take a beverage drink. You get that through the Office of Tax and Revenue. Their website is mytax.dc.gov.
I popped up real time.
And you'll download, you apply there. You'll download a PDF of your certificate. If you are unable to obtain a certificate of clean hands or you are coming up as non-compliant by the deadline, that's okay. That is absolutely okay. Just let us know. Tell us what's going on so that we can help work with you. Just so we know so that we're part of the loop. if you have an existing certificate of clean hands, you're a repeat applicant with us, you do not need to go request one. You can validate a current one. So the way that this works, this is a really great shortcut, is if you have the form, it's got a notice number in the top right corner. It starts with an L and it's about 12 digits long. If you use this and you go to validate a certificate of clean hands, it's going to ask for some prompts, your notice number and the last 4 digits of your EIN. And then you just keep clicking yes until it gives you a clean hands form. This is also great if you just want to check on your status at any time, and then save as a PDF. So after you've requested it a first time, then you can validate it pretty much forever after. We here at the commission have to pull a clean hands for you a couple of times, usually during a funding year. This is how we update ours, is we'll pull a validated one because we can check this way. Statement of certification should be familiar to a lot of folks. Organization name, you're a 501c3 because it's GOS. We want your address. And then just a reminder that this is the GOS grant program for FY26. You will, if you are applying for multiple grants from us, you'll need to update the grant program. We're going to need a copy for each grant program that you're applying for during a year. And we do have a fillable version on our website. It's a 4-page document, so you're going to fill in address and name on page 1. Page 2 and 3 are informational. Page 4 is the one we need signed. All of our signatures, every time we ask for a signature, it needs to be an ink signature, a wet signature, or a verified e-signature, which you can get through Adobe, through DocuSign, and Dropbox now offers it as of this week, which is great. And I need to go investigate that more. Typed in signatures or signature fonts for any of our documents will be rejected and will slow down the process. If you have questions about the organization, about what this form is for, this is really who we can talk to about your grant. You can self-certify, that is okay. But we sometimes get questions about this. Okay. And so then we're going to move here into your into the work samples. Just so everyone knows, panelists are asked to review only the 4 corners of the application. So what is presented as part of the application. They are not expected to or asked to click on any outside links or content. So if you just say for your work samples, oh, click here to see our work or any other external websites, that may not be seen by reviewers. Any websites, articles, social media posts can be screenshot, can be recorded and attached as an image or a video. Often it's an insufficient work sample. We really want to see a website only if it's a really essential part of the project. And if you have questions about specific work samples, again, reach out to us. So these are the things that will support the narrative, support materials, and work samples. Up to 3 internally produced, for support materials, up to 3 internally produced items. So things like curriculum, strategic planning, marketing materials, and 3 externally produced items like reviews, commendations, testimonials, letters of support. For all of these, it's going to depend really on your organization and what you do. That's going to guide what you select. And then work samples, see the work sample addendum in the RFA to determine materials that might best support the application. I saw some chat going on of how many work samples to include. Those are excellent questions. We do have some work sample addendums. Generally speaking, it's going to be something like 10 images, 10 photos, or 15 pages of written documents, or 2 5-minute videos, or some hybrid of that is appropriate for your organization. And if you have some questions about that as well, reach out to us. If you are doing media uploads for work samples and support materials, there's 2 types. There's direct uploads. This is a link to an external thing like YouTube, Vimeo, and MP4 video. And then there's these 2-step process uploads like documents, and photos. So if you're doing a direct upload, and you're in this section, we've got a link directly from YouTube or Vimeo. So we've got the ID here, that's where you'd put the URL, and you've got a description up here. This is a great place for titles. It's also a great place for any information that the panelists might need. You've got a Vimeo recording of a presentation you did, and it's password protected. Put the password up there, title, password here. Also, if you have a long recording of a program, but you want us to focus in on these 5 minutes, you do not need to edit down the program to the ideal 5 minutes. You can say, spring showcase, start at 22:03, or any other timestamp that would be great. And we will guide our panelists and help them get to that section. The other way you may have this is in the work samples and uploads section of your application. There's this attach from media library button that I clicked on very aggressively there. This will open a pop-up window that will bring you to any of your images, any videos, any documents you may have uploaded here. If you click on them, it'll attach them to the library. Just so everybody knows, if you attach images, they do not always view in the order you attach. They do tend to resort themselves for viewing alphabetically. If that is something that is significant or impacting the viewing of your application, we have some guidance on how to make them show in the order you want to go. So after you upload all of your materials, we ask that you check the uploads, go to the viewing media viewer in the application portal, just make sure they play. If they don't play for you, they're not going to play for panelists. We do try to do a double check as we go back through and make sure that everything is playing and viewing properly, and reach out if we run into problems, but as many eyes as possible. As you're pulling together your samples for video submissions, we do not recommend the highly edited commercial and promotional videos. We want to see samples of your work. Highest quality you can of samples, clear images and clear sound are great. And then, as I said, for video work samples longer than about 5 minutes, we do ask that you direct review panelists to the section that would be most useful. Embedded time codes are great, put it in the description. So the title could be video 1 work sample, time 5:03 to 9:34, or in that work sample description area, tell us what we need to be looking for. For audio submissions, if you just have audio files, that's great. You producing podcasts or something. Just so you know, the way that our portal is set up right now, audio files can only play from start to finish. We don't really have any scrubbing or scanning opportunities in it. If you do have an audio file only, that's one where you might want to edit the clip to it be shorter. Excuse me one moment. Or upload the audio into something like YouTube or Vimeo, where we do have that option, and we can scrub a little bit more easily. Video clips can be really useful that way. And if you need to keep them private, talk to us. We can talk about how best suggestions there to keep things limited to just the panelist view. Excuse me. For any screenshots or screen captures of online content, there's a lot of great keyboard shortcuts. Please download any online reviews or articles or programs you might be submitting. Save them as a PDF as well. Please don't just give us a list of links. Ooh. Excuse me. A lot of this is just for tips here, a lot of reiterating what I've said. We do need a new statement of certification for each application. E-signatures are great. If you have problems with e-signatures, reach out to us so that we can help set that up for you, or we can send you a file that's signable. For the certificate of insurance, we can send you samples of the Accord form that you can send to your insurer if they don't know what you're talking about immediately when you say, I need a waiver of subrogation on here. And we're happy to provide that language. For your clean hands, again, once you have a version of it, we can check it whenever. You can check it whenever. And if you are a first-time applicant and you've never done this before, or if you are checking in and it comes up as non-compliant, this is okay. If you can't get it perfectly ready by application deadline, just let us know. You know, it can just be an upload that says we're in process. We just want to know where you are so we can follow up with you. And then for everything, please upload as a PDF. It's just easier for us to view things. All right, that was a lot of talking from me. So I know there have been some questions in the chat, but if anybody has any questions here that you want to unmute yourselves and ask, please do so now. Okay, cool. All right. So additional resources we have available. We do have our live chats. Those are every Friday at 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. They tend to run a little long sometimes. So if you show up at 2:50 and you're wondering where people are, we're still here. Staff will be on these live chats. They are open session for all of our open grants. So feel free to stop by, log on to the Zoom, and, you know, ask any questions. It's a great time for just, I've got a quick question to ask, somebody will answer. We also, you know, are available at all times via email, but these are a good little chat session. If you come to one, you now have the link for all of them. It's the same Zoom link for all of our live chats. Also this year, new this year, we have in-person chats. So if you want to come stop by, we are here at our office at 200 I Street, Suite 1800. You do still have to go through security to come see us, but if you do want to just come in because you have a question, you want some help with the paperwork, because you don't have a printer or anything like that, come in, we're happy to help. And as a reminder, our offices are closed on April 16th. Just a tiny plug for panelists. We do need grant panelists every year. We like to shake up the mix. We do offer training for our panelists. And then our panelists, we ask that you review the applications, the work samples, and evaluations prior to the panel meeting. And then we have a panel. It's a good day. We tell you that it's going to take all day. It usually doesn't take all day, but it's a nice opportunity to see what other organizations are doing, to connect with peers, and it's just a good day. Everybody seems to have a positive experience. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, that it stays positive. If you apply to be a panelist, it does not guarantee that you will be a panelist. We are trying to fill a lot of opportunities. We may not need you for this cycle, but we do have another cycle coming up this year. And just so everybody knows about the timeline for the panel process and everything, you've got about 3 to 4 weeks to review. And then panels take a couple of days or a couple of hours, and then we give you a gift card for $250. Thank you. Staff contacts, I'm going to leave this up for a bit. Terrell Johnson is our senior grants officer, and then there's me, your grant manager. There are a lot of us who are working on GOS, so feel free to reach out to your grant manager. You've been working with them all along. If they don't have the answer, they'll come to one of us, and if we don't have the answer, we'll go to Terrell. But we're here to provide resources and support however you may need. All right, I think that was everything. I think I covered everything. Wow. And it took an hour. Okay, great. Thank you all. I'm going to bring back up Terrell's contact and my contact information. We are, our office hours are 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Just to reiterate, for anybody who is interested in that 2-year funding option, the town hall is April 1st, next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday at, I think it's 1 p.m. I think. I set it up and then I immediately forgot it. You can register for that now on our Eventbrite page. If you go to our Eventbrite page, where I hope you sign up for this workshop, you will find that opportunity along with all of our other grant opportunities. Please feel free to sign up there. We will have additional information there. We will have a recording available soon up on our YouTube so that you can refer back to this. We'll also get these slides up there. We wanted to do some editing, but I'm going to send these over to our team that handles our website and have them put it up shortly. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And I'm also going to stop recording.